Riders ready, watch the gate.
Welcome back, Late to the Gate podcast. Don't be late to the gate or you're going to get lane 8. We got cut off, but we're back again because the people wanted more.
I don't know how.
How's it going?
I can't believe that people wanted more, but here we are. And I bought a plant, Dex. Bought a plant
It looks
just
good.
to deal with you. So
It's good background. That's what we want.
you set the standard high.
Well, maybe.
And I didn't
microphones.
realise we have got microphones. Didn't realise we were
We've got
being
microphones.
filmed.
I've actually decorated. I did actually decorate. It's not actually finished, but you know.
Yeah, because that was grey last time, wasn't it? Are you in the same
studio's
place?
coming along. Yeah. And there was a sofa here, and we're going to get new feature.
The studio.
I've taken over the house. Yeah.
Oh, I love
It's
it.
good, yeah, and microphones have been bought as well.
Yeah, so hopefully it's better. Although, as we know, my tech knowledge is horrendous. But we move.
Yeah, we've just had a bit of an event off camera trying to get different headphones to work.
But we made it. We made it to round 2, so here we are.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed doing the first one. It was good. It was fun, and if people think it's fun too, then that's good. Inspired by Billy's Rocked and Sucked thread off the back of the Manchester National, I thought we could see what rocked and sucked about the first episode. So we got some good feedback. I'm going to go through some comments. This might be nice. I appreciate everyone that went to the effort of actually making a comment and saying stuff. So on Spotify, Nick, I don't know who Nick is, but he said it was a great watch and he enjoyed it with 2 clappy hands. So thank you very much, Nick. Charlie Luckhurst, he liked it. He enjoyed the shout out as well, and he's hopefully going to catch us trackside soon. And Charlie, it might be in 2026 if you want to catch me trackside. Taylora611, so I'm not quite sure who that is. Let's go, and his commute was sorted, so that's really good. And Kev Brown appeared from his holiday and said he enjoyed it, and he'd forgotten about BMX, but he really enjoyed it, and he's looking forward to the next one. So Kev, I don't know where you are in the world right now. You've got more air miles than Alan Wicker, but hope you're enjoying this one.
I'm sure we'll see a foot picture at some point of him, just his feet and a backdrop of some nice some place that he's on holiday. You know what I mean? That's a bit of him, isn't it?
And a rum and coke or something like that.
Yeah, it's about right.
Over on YouTube, Michael Bias, thank you very much. He had some time to waste, and he said he wasted it quite happily, so I appreciate that. Watch on YouTube as well. And then on Instagram, we had quite a few comments, probably 2 more that I can single out every single one. But the one that I enjoyed most of all is Kichi missed his junction on the way to work as a consequence of
Let's
listening
go,
to this.
Kichi.
So
That's
fantastic,
fantastic.
Kichi.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic, Kichi. Thanks for listening.
Do you know what the funny
Appreciate
thing is? I've had loads of people. Sorry, have you got another one? Is there one more you wanted to say?
No, that was it. There
I've
are
had-
other ones, but I'll have to find them as I go.
I had loads of people come up to me at the Scotland National saying that they enjoyed it, which we all said actually. We've pleased some BMXers because the low standards that we've set, they've enjoyed. So I'm all for it.
BMX Public has low expectations, definitely. And actually, Jules has sent a few messages, so he really enjoyed it as well, which is good. And I know Jules puts a lot of effort into creating content around BMX.
I caught up with Jules, to be fair, at Scotland National, and to which he was like, "Who's this?" Someone came up to him and said, "Who's this Booter fella anyway?" So I feel like you need to introduce yourself, Booter.
Well, we spoke, didn't we? Before we hit record on this, we were talking about how people may know you, Sean, and that Dex quite rightly pointed out that there's a whole generation that won't. And if they've been away for a couple of years, certainly won't, because you've retired at least 3 times. And then they wouldn't have noticed you at Manchester Indoor because you were getting motoed.
I might have noticed.
So-
Who's that guy at the back?
I think we might feel that if there's a void in the BMX public where they like low standard of shit talking and niche references from like the early 2000s, then maybe we will fill that void where BMX Talk once was. I think maybe we can be that.
We can definitely fill the low standards.
But I've had family say that they listened and they didn't mind it. So, I mean, there must be some awful podcasts out there. When do we start earning from this? When does the revenue come knocking? When do we get like some corporate sponsors? When can we like Surfshark come on board?
Yeah, well, I'm feeling a merch line, definitely, if you want to show your support for nonsense.
Well,
Do you know what? That might actually be the tagline for the bottom of the T-shirt.
Show your
Support this
for some
nonsense.
yeah.
I think Jules had suggested some crowdfunding or something, so we could crowdfund
I
the podcast
am
along
not-
with everyone that's crowdfunding their worlds.
I am not.
I'm not doing a
starting
GoFundMe.
it. Don't.
I would not do a GoFundMe for any. Do you know what? Should we go into GoFundMes?
It's just. I mean, it wasn't on the list, but let's go because I'm ready to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, hold GoFundMe, and we'll go straight into that afterwards then. So that was the Rocked. I don't know if you two had any Rocked before we move on onto the Sucked, because we do have to address some inaccuracies.
Do you know what rocked for me is I haven't spoken to you for 10 years and you're still normal. You haven't turned into an Aussie. No offence to Aussies, guys. I know you listen to over there. But yeah, I was just enjoying the catch up, I'll be honest.
It
Yeah,
was good. It was a good way to spend a morning for me, an evening for you.
On the topic
Let's
of that,
maintain the level of nonsense. Keep it like not quite professional, just at that level where it's just nonsense, drivel, that kind of thing. Leave
Let's not
Jules
plan
and like
it.
Scott Beaumont to do serious like race reports because they do great content when it comes to that, and they're
Definitely.
both injured right now. So shout out to them because they still did a podcast. I think
yeah, I listened to it
Scott
this
was
morning
just
on the
come out of
drive to
hospital
work.
with his back
Yeah.
injury, and Jules has done his ankle in, I think. So healing vibes to them, but. I really enjoyed doing the first one and look forward to the program.
All right. So what
Should
did we
we-
get wrong? Because we did get some things wrong.
I was about to say, should we do some Mythbusters?
Yeah.
Because I think we mentioned that to run a Supercross round, it was 500 grand. It's not quite that, guys. I've got proper information now. It's 18 grand to run, 30 grand per day prize money you have to put up, plus a little bit extra in terms of accommodation and everything else that you have to do. So it's above 100 grand, but it's not quite half a mil. Sounded good though, isn't it, on the punchline?
Yeah, but it's a lot. Because I don't know whether we were supposed to have access to the document that we're looking at. But it's pretty complicated. It's pretty complicated, and it soon adds up. So it's well north of 100 to do it. But not half a mil. But then there's revenue as well, which we haven't ran the numbers on as to what we think the revenue would be.
Should we just run a Supercross
I would
round?
like to see the back of that. Yeah, I'd love to see the back end of that where Papendal. I think Papendal's probably a bad one to draw upon because it doesn't seem to get a lot of gate entries.
It's
But
in the middle of
places that
nowhere.
This is it. And the places that continue to run them like Zolders, what kind of revenue can they actually generate by gate and concessions and charging for pit places and that type of camping, that type of thing? I'd love to know the back end of it. It must be profitable because they seem to want to run a race all the time. Obviously, they had the Euros, not this type of level event, but they had the Euro rounds last weekend. So I'd love to know it.
Yeah, I reckon if you're slick with all that stuff, the gate at Brisbane was massive. So and they were pushing tickets for a good year in advance. And I reckon they sold them all. I'm sure of it.
You're googling it now, aren't you, Booter? What are you googling?
No, I just realised I can put a title and my name on the window. Can you see what it says under my name?
The Northwest Pole.
Yeah, Northwest Pole. That was so. Who had an alias? Who had an alias on BMX Talk? Who had two accounts? Booter clearly did.
I never did, to be fair. I was just because I wasn't scared of saying it behind a name. I just said it how it is.
I didn't actually say an awful lot on that account, but it was just funny to see people try and guess what it was. I certainly didn't play the games that some people did because I believe that there was definitely some names out there that we still think are maybe they're myths. Maybe they've gone to. Yeah, who knows how many people had aliases?
It's, everyone loves an alias, though, don't they?
They do. Just before we move on, from what we were saying about different generation not knowing who Is It was these days. I don't know if you can see this picture. Do you still dress like this at the BMX track these days?
What, half naked. Oh,
And
you
for people on
that is a
audio,
classic.
For people on audio,
They're rushing to their
with his top off.
rushing
I
to
think
the.
Peterborough.
That does a lot of Peterborough, to be fair. Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
just jumped on YouTube all of a sudden, haven't they, just to check it out.
Yeah.
Do I still walk around with my top off, but don't get me wrong, I've just got a gut hanging out now. Dad bod, ain't I? Dad of two.
Just because you have kids doesn't mean you get a dad bod.
No, but you can
But
use
it
it as
can
an
happen.
excuse.
Yeah.
I'm I'd like to think I'm quite active, but it's just not always BMX. It's always I'm a PE teacher. What do you expect? I'm relatively fit. Let's be honest. Still, and not like I just keep moving.
Yeah, you should be. Did we get anything else wrong? So we got the cost to run a UCI wrong, but it's a little bit more complicated and we probably need to deep dive a bit more on it.
We not necessarily got it wrong. We was umming and ahhing why the UCI Supercross series wasn't that great, and the main reason was potentially the fact that there's no UCI points on offer because the Olympic cycle hasn't started yet. So I wouldn't say we got it wrong. We were umming and ahhing why there was only six rounds, and then
Yeah,
the
we did think
other
there was
one.
points though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, because I said about C1 because I have listened to it back. I'm sad like that. I do a review every now and again. And then the last one was the we couldn't remember where the UCI big bike all discipline event was, and I've done a bit of research and I found out it was France, which will definitely be worth a visit, won't it, Peter? We'd have to get that one sorted out.
Where's that going to be?
France,
Isn't it just the Alps region or something like that?
Yeah, that's it. It's in the Alps. Yeah.
If it's the Alps, it could be like that Sarion's track.
What
year is that? Is that 2 years off?
Yes, 7. Yeah, 27.
27.
Again, this is something we'll probably be talking about next week that we've got wrong. Is I think that it's a new track they're going to build in the Alps.
The link you sent me said Haute Savoie, France. And that pronunciation's been butchered, so I'm sorry for anyone.
I'm glad you
that's
did
listening.
it.
Yeah. And then other than that, the text is too small for me to read on the fly. But yeah, that's all happening in 27. That would be good. Oh, including pump track, everything.
The downhill.
Can we
in
talk
the
about
Alps.
pump track? I'm not interested in pump track. Controversial opinions of the week. Is that going to be a new segment?
Controversial. Hopefully, the whole
I
thing
don't
is.
mind elite riders. I don't mind elite riders going and having a go at getting a rainbow jersey. Love it. Why not? Why not go to an event that will pay you to go to the finals too? I just don't see it as having as much credence as a racing event. That's all.
Oh, it definitely doesn't. In my head,
Is that a controversial opinion? I don't know if that's just common sense, to be fair, but it's just, it feels to me like there's always been a want to have another event in BMX. So get another medal event somewhere like the Olympics, time trial, team time trial, pump track. I think pump tracks are absolutely the best way to go for grassroots and building up countries that don't have a lot of tracks and have facilities. But to give them a rainbow jersey and to call them an elite world champ, I'm quite passionate about the rainbow journey being the pinnacle of, under the Olympics, the sport. And if somebody had a rainbow jersey in pump track and elite men, it doesn't hold the same credence for me.
I'll be honest, I've never really thought about it. I like the idea of a pump track, and don't get me wrong, I'll watch Eddie Clerté smash out a pump lap all the time, but I'm not tuning in to watch the whole event because I found time trial boring when it was a thing. The only thing that was good about the time trial was seeing what songs they were going to come out with. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, I'm with you on that one, Bill.
Well, here's my controversial one. I look back with misty eyes now about time trial Because at the time I hated it, and it was, oh, that's not BMX, and this is no good. But actually, sat in the stands with a beer, listening to what song's going to come on, and then watching someone really hammer it as tight as they possibly could was actually quite a good use of time. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's
I'd add
better
that
than
if you were at the event. Yeah, if you were at the event,
If you were there.
you'd see more action on the track with a time trial event.
yeah, I agree with that.
That would be great, because you'd be able to see more, and there'd be a super final. I agree with that. One thing I'd say about pump track is that it does actually play to that clippability, or it plays to the media a little bit better than a BMX racing format, because the riders go round past the same start point, and then the next rider is there on the start line already, and then they go, and there's no dead time in between the laps. It does actually play a little bit better, but
There's not much action though, is
for
there?
me, it's the top of it. It's the very top that I don't think it should be Rainbow Jersey. Run it as a separate event. Run it as I don't even know what you'd really call it, but run it as its own open series. For me, it's a bit strange giving it a Rainbow Jersey.
Well, there's a national series now in the UK. There's a starting this year. In fact, I don't think it is starting this year. I think it's been around for a while, and just not many people have attended it. But it's got prize funds and things like that. I think it's like 250 quid for the win. Which, when you think about a national, the risk that you're going to put in for a national with some of the hills that they're going to hit, and go round a pump track, and you could earn about the same kind of cash. Again, I've probably misquoted all of that, so we'll check that next time around. But it's just not as exciting for me, pump tracking, because if we're going to go to the non-BMXs, when I talk to my mates, the only thing they're interested in is one thing: who's going to crash, and where's the crash going to happen? Show me that, and they're mad keen for it. But you don't get that with pump track. Well, you might do. I mean, I'd give it a good go of smashing myself up on a pump track.
Yeah, but it's not guaranteed.
Oh, it will be guaranteed.
No banging bars.
No, I agree. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Did we get anything else wrong? Or can we move on?
No, we can move on. We can move on.
All good. We'll
not
make more
bad.
mistakes for next week.
Yeah, we'll do our best. All right. I've been on the lookout for beef since our last conversation. I wanted to find out who's grinding their gears and who's upset about something. Shout out to Dr. Jason Richardson in the USA. Unpopular opinion on BMX racing. Raise your seat. Most everyone
saw
has
that.
slammed their seats, which looks stupid, by the way. And now that seat is super low. There is no indicator, in brackets warning, about the back tyre. I know tracks are a bit different now, but I think the seat being low is the reason more people are hitting the back tyre. And you got 90 comments, probably from old guys running fenders on cruisers in America, talking about putting your seat up.
I mean, I've just gone to a low seat. I've always had a high seat until this season.
Seized
Is
it.
it slammed?
It's slammed. And I felt no different. The only thing I can't do is sit down on the gate because my knees won't bend that far. That's the only thing, the only difference. There's no difference. Yeah. I mean, I respect JR, but I think that's a pointless thing.
I'm sure he was just stoking up the fires for fun. I don't have it slammed. Not that the bike gets ridden very often, but from an aesthetics point of view, I think there's about 3 inches on display.
3.
I'll take this on. I've got an opinion. It's just the modern geometry of the bikes. If you look at a Mabo, you look at Prophecy, look at Beth Shrever's Prophecy, and there's no line. The top tube follows the seat all the way through. If the rider doesn't need it to support their knees in the corners, then I don't see any issue here. You will see most riders at the end of a race day having a big tire mark on their arse. That seems to be the norm, and everyone's running light pants nowadays anyway, so that seems to be the norm. I'm not really into that, but I think we touched on it last time. I like the technology in the bikes at the moment. I don't see any need to have any seat posts showing. I didn't actually know these fender things were thing until I looked at the post, and then I googled it, and it is just old men in America, isn't it, that literally put a mud guard on the back
Yeah.
of a
If
cruiser.
you Google challenge class at the USA Grands, you're going to see loads of them.
It's disgusting.
Oh man,
Sorry to
Let's
the
be
old men.
honest. It's the old men that listen
no
to
mud
this.
guards in BMX, please.
But yeah,
You wouldn't see Jules with a fender on his cruiser. Jules wouldn't do it. And he's the
But-
oldest old man I know.
Going back to your tire mark comment, Boo, you used to get them anyway. If you ride a cruiser, you'd always like zip your ass. So, but now you're just doing it on a 20 inch. Do you know what I mean? Like,
There was always manuals that you couldn't do on a cruiser
Yeah.
because they were too deep and you couldn't get the backside. It's up to the rider, isn't it? If they don't find that it's dangerous or don't find that they need it, then it makes no odds to me. We're never going to go back to having seat posts showing out of the frames. The geometries are so relaxed now that the seat post doesn't go straight up. The seat tube is at such a backward angle because of the geometry. I think it's fine. I think the seats are purely there just to satisfy the UCI scrutineering at the moment. If they came out next year and said the seats weren't necessary and you could just mould your carbon frame round, then I reckon frame manufacturers would just follow that.
yeah.
Here's something I don't know, and I'm if there's a side of the fence I'm landing on the is it side of the fence and not the booter side of the fence on this one. I have no idea about geometry on BMX bikes. I couldn't tell you what head angles are. I couldn't tell you what seat angles are. Probably couldn't even tell you what seat stay lengths are. Booter, have they changed? What's been the biggest change, and what's the difference?
Like I said, seat tube angle is definitely slackened backwards because a lot of manufacturers are obviously building a bigger bottom bracket shell, so they're building super stiff, super straight line down the down tube to the bottom bracket shell, and then top tubes have just got really long, really really long. 10 years ago, if you were 6'4", 6'5", you might try and run a 22-inch top tube. Now it's the norm that a lot of elite standard riders will be on a 22 and a half, 23. They seem to be going quite low on the front end. A lot of people turning their stems upside down, leaving loads of steerer out the top of their stem. Again, I don't really like that, but I don't really like chopping carbon steerers down either. So I just think it's all about the stiffness. It's all about that G out of the bottom of a supercross hill.
But bikes are getting longer.
Bikes are getting longer. They are the bottom bracket shells are getting wider, more stiffened, more, and if you have less, what's the word? If you have less stack in both the seat tube and the back end of the bike, you've got to make it stiffer. The bikes are going to end up looking like scooters. They're just going to end up looking like one straight carbon monocoque bar because I think that'll withstand the pressures of the bottom of the hill and the twisting of the cranks and the torque that you can get through the frame. But that's only my opinion of it. But that's the way that if you look at bike design now, look at a Speedco, look at a Mabo HSX. They are such huge bottom bracket shells, and it's just about that power transfer and stiffness.
Sounds
Out of
shit.
all the bikes you've ridden, yeah, what's the best bike out of all the bikes you've ridden?
I haven't rode a BMX in 10 years, so I'm bad at telling you what that would be.
What was the best one you had back in the day then?
I don't know what I've ridden. You used to love your Speedco.
We're bad. I had a Speed before it was
You
Speedco.
loved that.
That was aluminium. That was nice. Hydroform tubing. I'm bad at answering this. It sounds like I've got an opinion, but I'm not really justified in this space because I've never ridden one. But I do understand it, and I ride road bikes. I understand carbon from that.
You just love the science behind you love the biomechanics of it all.
Yeah,
Don't
just
you?
a bit of a fan. I say I'm just a fan. It's the same as an F1 fan may have never driven a car, but loves to see the advancements in the tech every time a new car comes out or a new F1 rule gets passed. Then the the manufacturers will try and find a way of circumventing the rule and try and find it a little bit of aero gains here and there. It's exactly the same in BMX and cycling as a whole. They will try and find a stiffer bike, or in road cycling they'll try and find a little bit more aero gains. That's what I enjoy, but I am hypocritical somewhat because I've not ridden a carbon BMX.
Bring
I've
back
never
the
ridden
Avent Morpheus. I
Bring
love
back
that.
aluminium and carbon glued together.
My Avent Morpheus, I rode that for about 5 years, and that took some abuse. It never. I'm sure it was being held together by like mud by the end of it, like because I just didn't clean it. But God, what a bite that was! That'd be terrible nowadays. But
Well, maybe it wouldn't, because I was thinking about the 20-inch that I got on with more than any 20-inch, and this is someone who's never been a great rider, but the 20-inch that I got on most of all was weird, and it probably shared some geometry traits with the Avent. It was a free agent, so when Marco did the first Stay Strong bikes, they were free agents, just sprayed up. So I think it was like a 21-inch top tube, but long seat stays. And I don't know what size Strombergs would ride, but it was probably the same frame that Dale would ride and, others in that free agent team. So really kind of old-fashioned looking. But I got on with that bike and I rode that bike better than any other bike. And I don't know if it was the combination of the shorter top tube and the longer seat stays. It manual better than anything I ever had. Really got on with it. And, super old-fashioned now, two big triangles stuck together.
That triangle, you've nailed it there.
Yeah.
Is that you put a 2010 BMX against a 2025 BMX, and your bike beside a modern bike will look like it is 2 foot taller than the one beside it. This will look really low, really sleek, really long, super wide tube in super wide box sections, and your aluminium frame from 2010 or even earlier is exactly that. It's just a real steep head tube, steep seat tube, 2 triangles stuck together.
well, we not long back in the group chat we put I'm sure it was either it might have been Van der Biesen's or it might have been Marison's, Maris Strongberg's. We put that bike next to a current one, and it just looked like a shit bike you can go and buy off Halfords nowadays. They look terrible, and they're like winning gold medals on these terrible things. It's just, technology has moved on. We just probably just haven't. Well, Booter has, me and you ain't, Dex.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm too old to move on.
I'm all for it. Stick with what. Just get a bike, people. Just get a bike and ride it. At our speed, until you're in the elites, it's your legs that are doing the work. Or your upper body, I suppose, because my legs don't do anything.
It 100% is. Yeah,
Just
it always
get a
is.
bike and go and enjoy yourself. And then go see Booter if
I
you
used to
want
like seeing Mad 80 with his bruise.
Can we do some AD stories?
Bruise.
I feel like we should do some AD stories.
Yeah, I think we should, because one of the things we got onto last time was, or maybe it was in the chat between podcasts, was how annoyed we were at the quality of after parties. And AD aided and abetted probably one of the most enjoyable after BMX experiences of my life. And I don't think
one?
AD meant to. I think we kind of ruined him. Valkenswaard 2010 or 2011, I forget on the exact year. But when he was doing endos off the front of the police car in Valkenswaard Square, that was one of the most enjoyable experiences.
Well, this trip, you got to rewind a couple of days before that, because this is the trip where we went as a CGR group, so crew, if you don't want CGR, crew BMX club, we all jumped in a minibus, headed over to Valkenswaard. For somehow, I don't know how, because AD's from Norwich, he jumped in on the trip, and literally from
I think
minute...
Kopi was to blame.
Yeah, he was actually.
Kofi
So from the
arranged
minute
to pick him up.
he steps in, it's just absolute carnage, because he steps in, sits down, opens up a tin of sardines. Like, that's not what we need in a tight. There's 16 of us in this minibus. The last thing I want you is eating sardines. To which we get then down to the the ferry, and he went, "Hey, Sean, you got any euros? I ain't got any bloody euros." I'm thinking, oh my god, this is gonna. So not only do I stink of sardines now, I've got to dish out some euros to AD, and that's before we've even got abroad. Do you know what I mean? Like that was going to be a mess from the start, weren't it? And then we obviously introduced him to a bit of drinking, and he's endoing off police cars, like you said. And then, in fact, that was the one. After racing, he was literally no top on, just his body armor, whizzing round the marquee, just on his bright orange bike with a pint.
Yeah, I think he had some kid's scooter as well, because I don't think AD's a big drinker. But I think the story was, and you tell me if I get this wrong, 2004 Worlds, I don't know if they were at Valkenswaard, I don't know whether AD messed something up and created a demon. And he won that day in 2010, 2011, whenever it was. So he won his class, whatever age he was at, and put those demons to bed, and he was on cloud nine. And I don't think he was a drinker, but we were, and we got him in the tent, and he had his bright orange helmet on with a little shark's fin, satellite navigation thing on the back. And we had him whizzing round with his roost protector body armor. And then we took him into town, and he just never calmed down. But it was good, I mean, we really got to know him after that, because I don't think we really knew him before.
I always knew him as Mad AD, and he was, I mean, I love AD to bits, and him and my dad got on really well, which I don't know if that worries me or not. But yeah, he's just a legend, isn't it? He's one of them guys who just does not care what anyone thinks of him, and he'll just go do his thing. Like he tried to jump the pro that time at Braintree and ended up breaking ribs and flipping. It's just Mad AD. He's Mad AD. Like, what do you expect? Guy's brilliant.
Yeah, I think someone should give him a TikTok account. I don't know, what's he doing? Where is he?
I was just about to say that. I don't know where he's gone. He's disappeared. Can we find him, people? Like, if you're still listening half an hour in, let's put a search party out for AD, please.
Yeah, someone will know.
East Anglia, a lot, they'll know. Because we need him
parties,
back. Oh yeah,
we need him
Go
back. On. After parties and after races, to someone who's not a serious racer, and even to someone who is a serious racer like you, and a few people went on that Valkenswaard trip and really wanted to smash it. Like Kopi was on one at that point in time, so he was really keen to do well. But we still enjoyed the party afterwards. And I think you were saying that they've been a bit disappointing of late.
World's after parties have really dropped off. I mean, me and Booter have got a real big kind of success criteria for an after party. It needs to be a tight, small venue. It needs to be hyped up, but everything's got a bit serious. I mean, at the end of the Worlds isn't really always the end of the season, because there's always like a Supercross as well after. And I was talking to Rhea Goodman about it, and she was saying, like, really, people will party at the end of the season. Worlds used to be the end of the season. I've had some great after parties. I mean, I'm not promoting drinking here, guys, but I think I was 16 at my first after party, and that was in Valkenswaard. And was you there, Booter, on that one?
Listen, any after party that puts on strippers dressed in race kit with full faces. Do you know what? This was the early 2000s. It was a different era, because I don't think you could get away with it now. But when that happened at the back of that bar, that was a life-affirming moment for 15-year-old me.
And that was Valkenswaard, was it?
Oh, yeah.
That was 2000. That was 2004 Valkenswaard. They held it in the Bell in Valkenswaard Centre.
Great name.
Just the right amount of mix of like elite riders and obviously amateur riders, and then there was a couple of poles at the back, and they brought out strippers. Brilliant. They brought out dancers, but they were in full Troy Lee kit, and then they stripped it off. And we're there, 15 years old.
Honestly,
probably had a few Hoogardens or whatever the ale was. Oh God, yeah. What a time.
There's so many things right with that. There's so many things wrong.
You just don't get it anymore.
Like,
the game's gone. The game's gone.
15-year-old me cannot sit still, but I sat still for 10 minutes at the front of that stage. Just madness, and it's just got Holland written all over it, hasn't it? Like, you can't get any more Dutch than that.
Oh yeah, it was like hard house, hardcore, gabba music,
Brilliant.
strippers, everything else. You know,
But then
that was my first overseas trip.
Yeah, and look, weirdly, you kept going back. Don't know why.
Yeah.
But then we've had some really
I've
good
looked
ones
at
like
the demo-
recently. Like
Yeah.
Zolder 2015, Zolder.
A couple of Zelda ones have done quite well. Like I think it, like we
Was
say,
that the
it just-
bang bus?
That was, yeah. We took the bang bus over. Yeah, everyone jumped in my van. We all went over. There was the Goodmans, the Maps, me, Booter. It was
Reedy was involved.
Reedy was that's Rotterdam. That's a different one.
Yeah.
That was a good one as well. There's some plenty of good stories on that. I mean, like, we could do the Zolder one first because the Zolder one blew up because it was the one where Sam got took out by Graf. Am I right there, Booter? I've got the. Is that the right words?
yeah. Graffy came under Sam in the second turn, and obviously Kimmen came under him and won.
So
And Sam was then on a mission, and then he was on a mission. He was drinking hard. He was on a mission to tear everyone's shirt off. So absolutely every
everyone's
male in
shirt.
that building got their shirts torn open.
I took mine
And
off.
There was, he was a demon. To be fair, he was starting fights on Brandon Tehiko. I think someone
Chucking
threw Sam's
shoes on
the
people's roof. Yeah. Oh, that was it. Sam's shoes got chucked on the roof. It was manic. It was
I'm sure there were some stories from the '90s after parties that were mental, but these were good memories, and I just don't think you'd get it again. You wouldn't get the same crew. You wouldn't get the same kind of vibe. They put an official event on in the last Worlds that I went to, which was Glasgow, but
Was it official, or did Quillen just try and get it sorted in the end?
could have been Quillen. Shout out to Quillen to get something sorted for one of the sponsors' venues.
Yeah,
But
I
couldn't-
believe
it
there
didn't
wasn't.
didn't really jump off, did it?
Nah.
Yeah.
And there's a few recently that have been like that. Like, yeah. I just think, yeah. Where was it? Where did I go? Oh, France. That was it. What was the place that we went to? France. The France Worlds.
Frejus? No.
Nantes, yeah, that was it. Is Nantes. So when we went there and we found a few bars down the front, and eventually we got a load of people there, but it wasn't any official. It was just kind of like a few of us dragging a load of people along, everyone getting like word of mouth and turning up, and these little tiny bars all of a sudden start bouncing because there's 50, 60 BMXers jumping on a bar. But without that, there's nothing official anymore. But
Yeah, there's official, and then there's semi-official where someone goes out the way to put something on. So like you said, Quillen tried to do something in Glasgow, and I remember Birmingham Worlds 2012. I think Charlie Phillips put a nightclub on and did tickets. And that was all right. Yeah.
For me, that venue was too big because then everyone started going off with the public, and then it wasn't all BMXs. It was just a bit of a mix mash. I prefer the little tight venues that just get sweaty as hell. That all BMXs full of testosterone, ready to get hammered at the end of a long season. That's a bit of me. I mean, I could do a whole podcast on after party stories, but I mean, we'll probably get shut down.
Well, maybe we should. I said I was going to say earlier on. I was looking at the demographics that listen to this, and it's mainly old people. So, whilst we should keep it semi-friendly for kids that are interested in BMX, and they're not really interested in old men talking about BMX. So we can talk about certain things.
We'll leave that one for the comments, and if people want it, we'll go for a whole hour of after party stories because I've got loads. I
could spend an hour talking about the rugby club at Bournemouth.
Oh yeah, Thomas Allier nearly punched me at the America after party because we ended up in it like the house, and I went to open up I couldn't find a bottle opener, so I went to open it up on the side of the table that obviously was rented Airbnb, and
Disrespectful.
Fuck me, I thought I shit myself. I thought he was going to batter me. He's a big lad.
Disrespectful, Sean.
Oh no, yeah.
To one of the goats. To one of the goats as well.
Mate, I used to love watching him at like Klatovy picking up manualing through and pedalling through the first jumps. But anyway, I'm going off on one. What a time. How do you follow that?
What do we want to
Go
talk
on,
about now? Yeah, well, I know we could talk about it forever. I'm looking at my notes I made to see whether is there anything we want to talk about race wise? I know we're not going to get serious and deep into it, but there's been a few races since we last got together. There's been a Euro at Verona. Actually, and I'd be interested whether they got them berms sorted or not, so we can have your view on that. There's been another national at Glasgow.
Zolder, you mean?
Zolder, sorry. Yeah, Verona's coming up, innit? Verona's... Is it this week? Or
no, we've had Verona Euros.
Verona's the
they
first
opened
one.
the series.
Yeah,
right.
But we've got
Zolder.
that. Is it Hemps or something? It's in France, isn't it? The track looks amazing, by the way. They're all there now.
That's it. Yeah.
Lempdes.
Yeah,
it looks good.
I like this. I like the look of the track because it looks like it's a 5-meter hill. It looks like there's a lot of pedaling, and it looks like it might be a bit of a drag race.
Is it new? Is it brand new?
No.
It looks
Still on the
pristine.
scene.
Yeah, it does look good.
I think I've seen Ross Cullen putting some clips up.
Yeah, recently, yeah. I could talk about Ross Cullen, actually. With, in Zolder, he just about won and then won the second day. Talking to Dylan, I don't know if I should be saying this. I was talking to Dylan anyway at the Scotland National. He trained through it, so he didn't even rest up for it. He carried on training through. So pulling that result out whilst training through is good going.
Pretty impressive, yeah. And so were the turns sorted? Because I know 2 in, 1 out, and Stiff and Scared were looking forward to it.
Apparently they're not, and the reason they didn't sort them is because they're bulldozing the old track, and they're going to do a new track. So I heard.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know about. So I hope that is true.
Is that? Have they got a major event on? Are they on the calendar? Have they got the Worlds again?
I was going to say they must have the Worlds coming up again, but it must have to. There must be a condition of you need to sort this place out.
Well, I'd imagine if you've had the Worlds twice in 2015 and 19, if you want it again, you've got to do a bit of regeneration. We really should know these.
Yeah, you Google
when the next events are on. Yeah, talk amongst yourself.
we need a Googling assistant.
He just needs to be in the background.
We need Jamie. Jamie on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan will talk and he'll say, "Pull that up, Jamie." And Jamie will just be Googling along and then just like really quietly just pitch in later and go, yeah, that was right.
I am using, on the subject of Googling and stuff, and I think Booter kind of got me going on this, I'm using generative AI way more than I was. I'm using ChatGPT or versions of it for all kinds of stuff at the moment. It's really good.
I just guess and say it confidently because I've made a career out of that. That's why I'm a teacher. I literally don't know anything.
Getting a little bit better at trying to prompt it right. We use Google Gemini at work, and there's some good tools if you get the prompting. But yeah, ChatGPT as well.
Yeah, I'm going to put myself on some of those courses. Yeah.
Can I talk about some like things I saw at Scotland?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into massive amount of details because listen to the 96 podcast if you want to know who got first, second, third and all that kind of stuff. But there was some kids, I haven't sat down and watched racing for ages. Obviously I'm on a bit of a look anyway for BMX Hype. I want to put some more riders into the team next year. But I'm never going to prize the kind of people I'm about to talk about away because they're on big teams. But the kids are rapid. There was this girl, Seward, in the 13, 14 boys, racing with the boys. She's sick. She went out, I think it was a quarter or semi, she crashed, but she went for a move, to smash this guy up the corners. And I thought, what a hero. Never lose that as a kid, and never lose that, especially the females. That you don't often see that. She full on committed, went to smash the guy for fourth. Big fan of that kind of stuff.
And is she racing with boys at the same age, or
she's racing with the boys
ages?
Same age, and they are fast. The boys are fast. Don't get me wrong. And there's the 13, 14 categories. The boys are just ridiculous. But there's some.
That's impressive racing with same age, because I think when Sinead's raced against boys, she would she'd be 17, 18 racing against 15, 16s, I think. Boot will
Yeah.
tell me what's correct there. But, it wasn't,
No,
wasn't the
I don't
same
think
age.
she ever raced down.
Did she not?
No,
No, she always raced
It's
me.
the same age, and then
Yeah.
actually
Right.
up into 19 plus.
Wow.
But yeah, I didn't know that. I know of that girl. She's on Stage Strong, isn't she, Sean?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've seen her at your rounds, like obviously podium and fair play. I like that.
And Kai Bowen as well.
I'd argue that would be a better way of bringing your skills and awareness
100%.
up than probably being in the superclass class with the girls, because I know it's obviously really popular in the UK that girls that are before their pro age race up. But
Yeah.
I would argue that the standard of racing is so high that actually just going in the boys' class will really bring your standard up if you wanted to be a top European world rider.
I completely agree. I say to all the kids that I used to coach, is you either race up an age group if you're a boy, try and push yourself, which is why we've got Harry Donald racing in the 14s, which is a stat class, by the way, and he's quite happy getting a semi final. Thought I'd put a bit in, and then you've got the girls just need to race with the boys, but. I was about to say there's another kid on the stage strong, Kai Bowen, and he's not. I mean, he's W5, isn't he? But he looks ridiculous. That kid is quick.
Yeah.
And this comes back to what we were saying last week.
Standard.
The GB lot, we
Insane.
were just getting excited, didn't we? Again, future's bright.
That's
man.
good. And
Shall
what
I
else
jump in
happened at
with these,
Glasgow?
Sorry, Dex, you go ahead.
Yeah, just kind of finishing up on Glasgow. What else happened there? Obviously, Digger of the Week went to Scott Beaumont, so he took a
Mate.
big one.
Mate, everyone was crashing though. Like even all the good riders, and even the fodder of Jules. I'm joking. Like everyone was just like, if you crashed at Scotland, it just seemed like people were breaking bones everywhere, and the track isn't too tech, but it just seemed to catch a lot of people out.
Like
Fast.
Freya getting it wrong. I don't
Freya-
think I've seen Freya crash.
No, I spoke to her actually, and she said, "This is my first ever break." And I said, "I hope it's your last as well," because she's chipped her her elbow. She broke her elbow, so fingers crossed she's back in the mix quick enough. But she said, we were laughing about it. It was a crap crash as well, like just nothing.
Yeah, they're the worst, aren't they? I think she just got it wrong on the last straight. Just, I don't
And then
know.
you got
it just
yeah,
bobbled.
it's just- all the ones that were kind of like broke themselves was just they looked shit crashes. Like there was a kid who did a front flip and landed on his face, and he got up and he was absolutely fine, I think. But then you get just people like falling off on the last jump and breaking themselves. You know what I mean? It's mad. It's BMX, though.
So what did Scott do?
He's broke his back. It's T8.
Yeah, but
I
where
think.
did he crash?
last
Yeah.
jump? I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 races after mine, so I didn't really see it. But yeah, that's what apparently it is. So I think the same place as where Freya crashed, or a bit before.
Well,
Okay,
healing vibes to the fallen soldiers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's
All
my
right, let's get
Scotland
back to
roundup.
ChatGPT.
Go on, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, what you got,
Good.
Peter? What you googled?
If you want the details, get onto the
Oh
96
no,
podcast.
it was purely on the BMX World Championships coming up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So as we know, it's Copenhagen, Brisbane, the French cycling champs, the World Cycling.
The Alps.
Don't even know what they call it. Multi-sport event, and then Houston. Because of course
yeah.
Houston was 2020, which got
Yeah,
cancelled.
got cancelled.
The Rockstar track.
Yeah.
Um,
Car
so
park first
that would be
corner.
interesting. Huge track, amazing looking track. I've heard it's not the nicest of areas.
Yeah. Rednecks, you
Downtown
mean?
Houston type of thing. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's downtown Houston. I'd rather be in Brisbane and the south of France. Put it that way.
I thought he was going to say Brixton.
Yeah.
Hey,
and Brixton.
is the Houston one, is it covered or is it fully open?
Open.
Open, yeah.
Open.
It's massive.
Yeah, because you always wonder about the weather there and how quickly the weather can roll in.
Well, after the last Rock Hill Worlds and the cancellations, and well, actually, both Rock Hill Worlds, the past ones, have been marred by weather, haven't they? But the amateur day being cancelled after 3 motos last year. is obviously bad, and then just the quickness of the change of weather over there, it does put a bit of a doubt on it. I would imagine if you're trying to travel from the other side of the world, you might think twice, because the, what was it, 15 plus day at Rock Hill last year got 3 motos, and you could have spent 10 grand to take your family over there.
Oh, wow.
I would imagine that if you were Europe based or you were Australia based, you might think again about another American Worlds. Unfortunately,
America. I loved the one that I went to, 2017. I actually watched that video of Ollie Cutmore made recently as well. That's a great watch. But yeah, I'd go back to Rock Hill tomorrow, regardless of weather, because it was a hell of a week. Another great after
Rented
party.
a big truck. Was it? That was a good one.
It wasn't an official after party. It was just like all basically the Zell tours. A lot just went out and just got loose with a capital H.
does Marco do any of those anymore?
I don't know. He did Baku, but I don't know if he did one since 2018. I think his last one was. Bring back the Zell tours.
Yeah, I never went on it. I've been on a dedicated one-on-one Zell tour to Angleholm, and that was nerve-wracking. I imagine his like package holiday ones are a lot less stressful when you're travelling just one-to-one with him.
I did the South Africa one in 2010, and that was unreal. Like, it was. Don't get me wrong, it was expensive, but I didn't have to plan anything, and we had tracks lined up, hotels, guest house, and I went with Clark and Kent as well. So it was like me, Clark, Kent. That is not a good combination of people. I'll tell you that for free. Not for a prep for a Worlds. It was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, that looked to be a good trip, because that was where you went kind of bungee swinging through the stadiums and things like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
I think
wicked.
the Football World Cup had been the year before, because you
No,
all
the
came
same
back
year.
with Vuvuzelas. Same
Like
year.
about a month before. So everywhere was pristine. The streets had been cleared of the riffraff. It was ideal. It was perfect. Yeah, some great stories. We'll add that one to the podcast as well.
Yeah, well, Marco obviously put the effort into that one, which is good. I've never been on a proper Zell 2 as one, but yeah, some of his.
He actually won the Worlds as well, didn't he? That year, he won Masters.
Yeah, he did Masters.
Got the rainbow jersey. Yeah, organises a trip. Everyone pays for him, and then he gets a rainbow jersey. Job done.
Yeah. There's someone who sets his sights for something and dedicates his life to it, and then does it, and then just kind of moves on and just does something else. You know, when he decided he wanted the Worlds that he got on Cruiser in Adelaide, and all of the effort he put into that, then when he decided he wanted the Masters and he wanted a rainbow, and all of the effort he put into that, you know, he kind of treated it like a project and just put all the moving parts in place to allow him to do it. You know, dedicating, coach, everything, and then just does it, and then just moves on and does something else.
Yeah.
He's got an amazing mindset. One of my favourite people. I haven't spoken to him for years.
He'd be an interesting pod. Although he keeps getting me bloody name wrong.
How come?
So,
You tell on that one, Sean.
basically, right, BMX Hype have linked up with Stage Strong, and Stage Strong have done our tops, and then I thought my name was a household name. It's clearly not anymore. I get my first 2 tops, and they've got 1 T on the back, because everyone should know it's ISS ITT. So Gunnar and him sorting it out, get a new one, and then Cal gives me the 2 new tops at the Glasgow. He goes, "I got your new tops." Opened it up, still 1 T on it. So I've got 4 BMX Hype tops with 1 T on. So we'll get there at some point.
Yeah, by the end of the season, you might get one.
Just it is what it is. Warming up in Gilets to make sure I cover the back.
Where were we going? I've lost track of what we were going to talk about next.
That's what we do. That's why it's so successful. Where are we going?
I don't know. We were going to do. Come on, Sean.
We were talking about like the Euro rounds, weren't we? coming up and what we...
Yeah,
And now we've ended up at Zeltos.
we have. I'll tell you a story about Marco while we're trying to recollect our thoughts about what we're going to do. So I love him to bits, but he's an interesting character. So we went to Angleholm. So Angleholm's going to be a Supercross this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right? So this was probably 10 years ago when the track first got built. And I don't know the whole story behind Angleholm, but I imagine it's some Swedish guy with a bit of money that probably knows Johan from GSX and decided that, maybe got a kid doing BMX and decided they want a track. I'm making half of that up, but I imagine that's true. So they built this quite magnificent track in Sweden. And it was going to be a Euro round, and I think with it being, the north of Europe, it wasn't massively subscribed, but I was keen to go. And I think it was me, Marco, I can't remember whether Andy Shaw went or was going to go, but we ended up, just me and him, flying into Denmark, getting a car, driving to Sweden, doing the race, then after the race going back to Denmark and back to the UK. And the race was amazing. It was really good. The track was great. It was a bit like one of these weird places to get to. So spectators weren't huge. There were only local people, but a really nice village that's attached to it. So anyone that's going to Angleholm, it's going to be a nice trip. Anyway, I did really well because there wasn't a lot of people there and enjoyed it. Good trip. Anyway, after the race, drove back to Copenhagen and had a meal and a night in Copenhagen. And then back to the whatever room Marco had arranged. So he'd arranged it all. I just had to give him money. So we were sharing a room in a place, and I think it was a bit of a shared bathroom scenario as well. And so we get to the end of the day, and he's like, right, we have to get up early. We have to go to the airport, and we can't be late. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And Marco kind of always moves with a sense of urgency. He's like, we've got to get up early. We've got to get to the airport. I'm like, yeah, no problem, mate. They'll be fine. So I set my alarm early. So, I get up earlier than him, because I want to go to the toilet, and I don't want to be pestered, and it's a shared bathroom, and then we're going to get to the airport. So everything's going fine, and I'm up early. And anyway, I'm halfway through in the bathroom, and he's knocking on the door, going, come on, we're going to be late, we've got to go. I'm looking at my watch and going, this isn't what he said. So he's rushing me on the toilet, and I'm like, all right, so get out, and then like let him in. And then we jump into the hire car, and he's like, gotta go, going to be late. So we're speeding through Copenhagen, and he's driving like a madman, and I think we're over the tram lines, and we're on the tram lines, and we're banging over curbs, and so, I'm anxious as hell because I like to plan ahead and I want to be there, and he's careering through the streets. Anyway, and I'm going like, oh, are we really going to miss it? Because, I'm kind of, I'm getting in trouble for going on all these Euro trips, and I'm going to get in even more trouble if I miss the flight. Anyway, we get there to the airport, and then we're about an hour early. So we wait time. And I looked at him and I said, what was all that about? Like, we got loads of time. And this, I swear to God, this is what he said to me. And he might deny it, but this is true. He went, sometimes I just like to make it hard for myself to make it a bit more exciting.
What? That's
And
cool.
he
It's just a
terrified me.
psychological thing.
Yeah, that's what he said.
What, like, perform under pressure?
I just like to put myself under...
I
what
get
he
that
said.
if it's like, if you're working on something, but not when you're away with a friend.
That's brilliant.
And you're like, that's just, okay. I mean, hey, I haven't got world titles like him, so
Yeah,
maybe
that's
that's
it,
just it's a mental thing that he employs to create urgency and meet deadlines, I guess, but okay.
I've been driving through the depths of Germany with him in the van, me, him, Andy Shaw, and Paddy Sharrock when I think he was on Stay Strong, and he's like, oh, we're running out of diesel. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And because I think this was maybe after the Angleholm. And I'm looking at, and I'm speaking to Andy, and I'm going, oh, is he taking the mickey? Is it not really happening? And he goes, oh, no, I have had to walk to a petrol station in Germany before now. And I'm like, oh, no. So he does make you anxious when you travel with him sometimes.
Having road tripped with you, Dex, like, I know that's complete opposite of your personality.
Yeah.
Super organised, nicely
Yeah.
planned, and
Yeah.
I'd like to say I'm the same, so yeah.
This is why I hang around with people like you. You lot organise everything
because
for
we
me.
keep you on time.
Yeah, everything. Like even like me and Booter are going on holiday in October. I'm just going on holiday. I'm turning up at Leeds and getting on a plane. I'd have no input on anything.
Yeah, I'm the type of person to have Googled it, to have Google mapped it. Let's look at Street View. Let's have a quick look at the entrances. Let's find out where we're going. That's me.
Booter actually, we had a call. I know we're off topic of BMX now, but we had a call, and Booter turned up to this FaceTime call with a PowerPoint presentation of for the fucking holiday.
Quite right.
I was like, well,
Get your point across concisely. Put the business case together. We approved it, and we
So is this
moved
a
on, didn't
family?
we?
Is this a couple's trip, boys' trip?
yeah,
Yeah, families. We're all going with the wives. We've got a villa.
got a villa, but I'm taking the kids, so I don't know any. And this is how much Booter must love the Is-Its, because I don't know a couple that would go on a holiday with me and the missus and the two kids. Because I mean, people follow me on Instagram will know my kids are fucking nuts.
Yeah, but it's all about the layout of the villa, and we insist on having two cars, so we can get away. And we have one wing, and you guys have the other one, so it's absolutely
it's
fine.
true.
And we don't mind. Your kids are good kids. You're their parents, so you think that they play up, but they don't. They don't.
They're mini Is-Its. That's all people need to know.
Everyone's kids are demons to the parents. You know, hopefully they're not too much demons outside, but they all are a little bit.
But they're riding bikes now, so that's all good. I need to get them on a proper BMX, and then we'll.
Do you know what, Sean? I was going to say your social, Sean Is-Its social check-in. The back on the pump track's running at the bottom of the garden.
The pump track is running.
A little bit of work.
The second straight's all good. The first straight needs a bit of a resurface, and we've had approval. / I've told the missus that we are extending the second straight all the way up the garden. So
there we go then. So it can build into a bigger jump line. Yeah.
Mini digger incoming.
Straight onto the patio.
Through the house, out the front, and back round.
Yeah.
Well, you got the perfect garden for it.
That's why I bought the house. She saw a project, I saw a BMX track. Job done. It's just taken 10 years to get to that point.
Class. You've wore her down over this point. Where are we going now? Because we've not really touched on racing, but it's the nonsense been good enough to cover over that.
Well, I think we should talk about racing at some point, because I know you spend a lot of time thinking about it, you know, in general, and doing the analysis, and you know, you've always got some really good stats about what's going on. So it's good to know who's fast, who's not fast, who we should look. You know, I actually liked what Is-It was offering there from Glasgow in terms of, you know, what he's seen at the races. So that's always good to know.
I think that was great. Just a little bit of feedback on Ross and where he is. We could turn this into the Ross Appreciation Club.
It's
I'm
a
happy
club.
if we do.
Yeah, let's make that a club.
I can talk quite heavily on him, so I quite like him. But yeah, Ross is going well, and and he's leading the Euro Series. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does on a more of a drag track at Lempdus. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. It's probably Lomp.
He's got Rico with him as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, shout out to Rico Berman on Be Strong, but he's still riding the Speedco, so I'm sure that's probably just win-win for him.
Staying with Ross for a month.
Yeah, I like this. So, did you know this, Dex? You're aware of Rico Berman, the New Zealand rider?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been he was sponsored by Speedco for 10 years, let's say, from an amateur, and obviously he was a phenom as an am, so he had multiple world champs with titles, and then mid-April announced that he's left Speedco, and then a day or two later has joined the Be Strong team.
Which is weird timing, because no one leaves at like that kind of time.
No one leaves in April, normally. No. So, obviously, I wouldn't want to know the politics behind it, but the Be Strong setup seems to be that if you want to get yourself a bike sponsor, you can. So, you know, Ross is riding a Mabo, Emily Hutt's riding a Speedco, Rico's riding a Speedco still, so I think he's had either a new frame or a new paint job. still riding the speed code, but under the Be Strong banner. And then this weekend, I believe, will be his first race. So staying in the UK, training. It looks like he could be training with Ross. And the same as Bella May, the Australian rider. She seems to be over here still.
Yeah, she made
like
some
it.
names, didn't she, in Europe?
Yeah, and I think I like it, and you touched on it about the Australian series, and I know Rico's from NZ, but he's not. He usually spends a lot of time over in Australia. You know, it might just be that they can get a decent congestion of races in Europe quite easily. You know, you can go and do Euros, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, do another Euro round. I like to see it. It seems like we might get some more talent, get a little bit more interesting series out there. And for the moment, yeah, Ross is killing it. Elite Women's a little bit more open, but, you know, Bet's back riding. Obviously, as we know, Freya's killed it in junior women. And there's some interesting riders in U23, you know, Callum Russell. I like Ben Cornish in junior men. He's going really well.
He was on fire in Scotland.
Think he's looking good. He looks fearless. It's a name that I've not heard for a few years. I remember him being an amateur, but maybe I'm just a bit ignorant to it. But I could always remember the helmet and the ginger hair. But he's flying as well. So I think, yeah, all eyes on this weekend in France, and who is going well out the back end of this will really show who's going into the World Cup season in good shape, who's going to turn up in July in Copenhagen in good shape. So it's exciting. It's exciting for GB, certainly, because it feels like the Dutch are having a bit of a quiet time. You know, obviously Neeks seems to be riding again, but he seems to be riding again, and I don't know the status on his heart injury. Jamie O is up there, so but it's a little bit of a quiet time compared to the Dutch setup of 5-10 years ago.
It seems like Ross goes over there and he's trying to pull them on a bit, or he likes training with them, something like that. I don't know if that's still the Maybo connection.
Yeah, I don't know the setup there. I noticed Ross
Over in Papendal, wasn't
he? Yeah. I think this might be getting a bit deep for this part, but it feels like there's a void. The year after the Olympics, there feels like there could be a chance to be sort of a chance for someone to step up and sort of take it on. And I might be completely, it might be because it's VE day here, but you know, I just like I look at Ross and I think, do you know what, mate? You can take it on. Like the game looks like it needs its next superstar.
You know the AP 130 squad.
Yeah, the Pillards.
I feel like you could be the the RC. Let's get an RC squad going.
RC 22. I think it's just. I think I look at the sport like as a whole all the time, and I think where is it going? Who's shining a light? And I just like what Ross is doing right now. And maybe it's just because we haven't seen the World Cup rounds yet, but he seems to be doing all the right things. Nobody seems to touch him. If he does have a little bit of a falter, for example, at Zolder, he got caught on the line. But
I think that's because he's training through, though. That's because he's training through.
Well, he did. So. He, to be fair, he just said like ran out of gas. Like it wasn't a skill thing. It wasn't a you're faster than me kind of thing. So, like I said, I just look at who is pushing the sport for the sport's sake, and I really like what he's doing right now. So, all
we love him. We love him.
We'll see how the season goes.
What's Kai doing? Because I know he was injured, but where are we at with that? Does anyone? I mean, we probably don't know this, do we? I'm going to ask him. I'll let you know for the next one.
Do you know what? That would be the best thing for you to do, Sean, was to just go to the source and just ask. I did see that he'd had an MRI on his back.
Right.
I think he'd had another back injury, or I think Kai had a few injuries, didn't he, that weren't quite healed, and then he, sort of limping along with them, and then on the off season, was trying to combat them. But I think one of his last social media posts was about the back.
Has he raced since the Olympics? Because I don't think he has.
I don't think so, but pass. I'm not sure.
Because that's almost like we're coming up to a year now, aren't we?
You'd be best placed to ask him, Sean. We want to see him back. We see him on a Supercross. He got a new deal.
Yeah.
I've seen him doing some flat sprints and some 5 metre starts, I think.
Yeah.
Where are you, Kai? Are you ready to go? Are you going to be peaking for Worlds? I'd love to see it. I just don't know. He just seems to have had a lot of medical problems, a lot of niggling injuries, unfortunately.
Well, if anyone wants to give us any world exclusives, we're happy to break them here.
I'll message him. Just tell me, mate.
Yeah. Normally we just get it wrong. We just guess at something and then just apologise for it again when we get it wrong.
That's what makes a podcast great. Just no plan.
Yeah, we definitely want to see him back, though.
Talk shit. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I want to see as many GB riders as possible in the mix. But yeah,
I don't think there's a more exciting rider to watch at his peak than Kai White.
yeah, agreed.
I think Kai White pulling a deep manual is one of the nicest things to watch on a BMX bike. Taking a jump like nobody else can take.
Mate, that one at the indoor against Trey still lives in my head rent free. Like the old last straight, the no one was like doing anything. You'd have to jump it, and he just manualed it and pulled like 6 bike lengths on his brother. It was ridiculous.
That was his playground.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2019 World Cup win.
Yeah.
When Graf was leading in the second turn and then Graf span out.
Yeah.
And Kai went through to win. That went off. Yeah, I stand by it. I don't think there's a more exciting rider to watch. And at his peak, I don't think there's someone with any better track speed. And I'd argue ever.
Yeah.
There's a statement.
That is a statement.
Than Kai White. I think he's the best, one of the best bike handlers ever, but track speed and track craft. So yeah, we want to see him come back. He's really young. We want to see him back at the top.
When you get riders like that can do such amazing things with the face of a jump, the middle of a jump, the backside of a jump, how much do you think they understand what they're doing and can replicate it, or how and they're able to coach it, and that they're getting development from it, or how much is just them? It's just them.
You're
like
born
they
with
don't
that.
even know what they're doing.
That's innate. That is an innate skill that you just cannot teach. You could ride.
I would be surprised if he could pick it up and say how to coach it. I mean, obviously, as you're taught, we've all done coaching courses. You're taught to, unweight the bike on the way up the hill. But if you freeze-framed his riding over certain jumps, it would be completely against every single BMX principle ever, because he's probably off the back of the bike at the wrong point. Because he's at the point where they are pushing the limits past what is the physics, if you see what I mean. So it's all feel. Like Sean said, I think it's just feel and then born with it.
That kid's road. I mean, I remember him at the Bobfield Grands having a massive crash, and I'm sure he was touch and go when he crashed at the Bobfield Grands. Again, I can't remember what year it was. I
can't remember that crash.
He must have been about 10. It was my missus's Kaylee's first race, and she was like, shit, this is bad. Like, I ain't coming here again. Yeah. What was that, 2010? Is that 2010?
It was maybe the first Grands then. I think we did the Grands 3 times, definitely twice, maybe 3.
Might have been 2012.
Yeah, that's probably the right sort of time.
Yeah. But yeah, it was bad. He'll probably know better. I'm sure I can't remember if he swallowed his tongue or took a whack to the chest, but it was bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's been riding since a kid. And again, the quicker you start, the better you'll be.
Yeah. It's just amazing, like the just that kind of the feel that is almost uncoachable. I remember riding side by side with Warren Bancroft. So and Wazza was fast.
He was
in his day.
same kind of rider.
And Yeah, and like I say, I was never a great rider, but I had an all right first straight, and I remember gating with him at Crewe, and the minute we got to that first jump, he'd pull me up the face of the first jump. So not even getting like, oh, you got really good backside and you got loads of speed. He'd pull me going up the face of the first jump. So and so either I was robbing myself of speed, I'm sure I was, but he was generating speed going up the face, but he couldn't really explain what he was doing, but it was amazing.
He's another sick rider,
So-
wasn't
Yeah. Oh, Warren was insane. There's a good, not that any like starting BMXers will tune into us on this little podcast of nonsense, but Barry Nobles does a good YouTube tutorial, and it is about trying to take a jump and trying to preempt the jump, and I think this is where it's really hard to coach it out, and you have to like slow it down to like 60 frames a second to see where, for example, Warren would have been gaining on you. And it's because his bike is probably not in contact with the jump ever since the absolute transition of the takeoff. And I think it's experience. It's riding a bike since 3 years old that gives him that. There's no other way really of putting it. It's not coachable until, I mean, there is so many more resources than we used to have now. You know, you can have a sensor at the bottom of the jump and a sensor at the top, and they can just hit it and hit it and hit it and try and take off thousandths of a second. So maybe it is coachable, but
Yeah, I mean, iPhone quality at 60 frames per second is amazing, which we didn't have.
No.
exactly, yeah. And everyone's got an
BMX
iPhone and a
videos is
tripod.
bmxvideos.co.uk we used to have, and that needs to come back.
I like Izit's pedal manual. I've always been very envious of a pedal manual over a roller that Izit can do.
That's just a staple skill nowadays. It's not even a thing. Everyone can do it. I've lost
Can't
that.
even break a sweat. You just got to pedal over everything.
I've lost that ability to pull away on people with a little pedal through, or even a nose manny. I used to love them as well.
I like a nose manny.
That was because
I
of
like a
Mim.
nose. I like a nose. Yeah, Le Pen do.
Yeah, Mim brought that to me, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to work on that for a bit. I used to do that hunk it all the time down the third straight, just doubles with nose manuals in. I used to love them, but don't gain anything. They just look cool, don't they?
Yeah, nose manny straight into manny. That looks good.
Yeah. I was talking on the topic of throwing just random skills. Obviously, I was talking to Quillen at Scotland about that triple that he did in Liverpool and how bloody big it is. And he just went, I don't know why. I've been looking at it for a while, but I'm 30 years old nearly, and I shouldn't be doing things like that. He says. I say I'm all for it. I said to him, it's because you're off the program now. You got a bit of freedom. You just go send jumps. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't do that in the back of your head now, is there? So fair play. Hopefully we'll see a load more videos of him just.
What's Colin's plan? Is he's doing the national series, right? And then is he?
Well, it's still going my end, but it says you've stopped recording. I just got a message saying you've stopped recording. But at my end, it's still going.
Put another pound in the meter, Sean. Yeah. So
Yeah,
good,
see
my
what
end.
happens. We hope we're still recording. Oh, no, he's gone. And then he'll come
Now
back.
he's
But if he
gone.
comes back, that's all right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because then we know he hasn't ruined it for everyone else.
Yeah, going back on Quillen, I like that he is still pushing it. Why would you take risks? Why would you try to keep pushing it and training and being ahead of the game if you didn't want something else, if you were still aiming to reach higher heights? And I love that.
And the other thing about it as well is it shows that you're still having fun. If you like, because you kind of got to enjoy it. If it gets to a point where you don't enjoy it, then you kind of you're sort of done. But if all of a sudden you love it again and you're trying stuff, then that's great. Hopefully we're still recording. Sean's back. Oh, but we haven't got audio. We haven't got. I don't know what you've done.
What we're moving on to. Sean's muted himself while he sorts the microphone
Yeah.
out.
Well, he
What
is
are we
muted,
moving on to?
actually. It says...
He has muted it now, yeah.
Yeah, he's muted. I don't know. We've been going for, I think, an hour and 20, so we can probably wrap it up soon.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed wrapping up what we did last episode. I think there's a few interesting races coming up, so looking forward to the next episode. We can pick up on where the current state of play is there. I think we've got some legs on a few little tech, maybe some tech feedback that I can take on for the next episode. Talking about geometries and bikes and, just like, for example, Dr. J's comment on fenders. I can come with anything else that I've seen in terms of equipment. And I'm enjoying it. Just go with the flow.
Brilliant. I'm sat in front of my PC. I've just had a Facebook notification. Kev Brown's watching the VE celebrations on TV. So enjoy VE celebrations. We're not getting any coverage of that over here.
Yeah, I think I don't even know what's on TV here, but yeah, it seems to be quite a big thing. There's a garden party out near ours, and I know that's been a thing in the UK.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Sean's...
So thanks a lot, guys.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
He's back.
All good.
That's working. We heard that. Well, what you did then, that worked. No, not now.
Oh, it's falling apart. It's falling apart, Sean.
It did work. Sean promises to practice more. I don't know what he's doing. Is he sending messages? Oh,
I can hang on. I'll play his voice note now. Let's see if this works.
I get it.
Well, my microphone's buggered. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. All good.
That's Sean checking out.
Right. Late to the gate. We haven't got any proper outro music or anything yet, but I'm working with some Romanian guy on Fiverr to try and produce something. But I don't know if you've ever bought anything off Fiverr. There's a lot of back and two goes on. So maybe we'll see some outros in future episodes.
You'll have to know. You'll have to tell us what expenditure you've done there, and we'll cover it off.
No. We'll just split. We'll split our merchandise in 3 ways when we get that going.
Yeah,
T-shirts and hoodies coming soon. Right. Let's wrap it up. See ya.
See you guys.